What's up, guys? Here's a topic I've been meaning to tackle for quite some time. My RPG experiment. What do Earthbound, Illusion of Gaia, Secret of Evermore, Sweet Home, Live a Live, and Dragon Warrior all have in common? Well, obviously they're all RPGs. They'll take a lot of time to get into. They're all games that are on Nintendo systems. These are all obvious points, but what isn't so obvious is that I beat all these games this year. That's what, to me, they all have in common. I actually went about with a small experiment about trying to beat one RPG every month, and originally for a year. And so this is the halfway point. This is the 6 months, and I have indeed beaten 6 RPGs. Now here's the thing. There are a lot of pros to this at first, and then as it went on, there are more and more cons. And you may be thinking, what cons are there besides taking up a lot of time? There were a few, but I'm going to go ahead and go by, show you guys which games I beat in order, and show you what I was up against, and not so much talk about the gameplay, but just talk about my experiences. First of all, we have Earthbound. Earthbound is the reason I kind of started this because Earthbound is a game that I've been wanting to play for a very, very long time. It took me a while to get, as most people, it probably does take a while to get a copy of Earthbound. It's not a cheap game. It's a love or hate game. It seems that a lot of people really, really like this, or they really, really hate it. And I had the feeling I was going to be on the love side, but wasn't really positive, and I purposely did not play a ROM ever. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. If I didn't like the game, then I had a $200 game for trading, you know what I mean? I got it through a trade anyways at a game store, so January, I beat Earthbound, and I kicked its ass. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would take. The game was a lot harder than I thought it would be, but it left such a good impression on me. I still actually get the music stuck in my head all the time from this game. All the freaking time. The battle music especially. There's just a couple tunes for the battle music. There was so much different music in this game that it really was refreshing. It was just a refreshing game, being in a modern setting, being with kids with frying pans instead of, swords, and having this incredible array of interesting music and interesting characters in the game was just really awesome and was a joy to get through. Earthbound truly was a joy to get through. I love that game, and I highly suggest you at least try it before knocking it. Like I said, this is a love-hate thing. And one thing I will say, doing this experiment, I probably wouldn't have loved Earthbound as much had I not gone through the entire game. This is one of those games that you must go through the entire game to really get the full effect of how good it is. But yes, Earthbound, definitely, that was my January game. So the second month, February, I went about and wanted to beat a game that I've actually gotten fairly far on before and just never got around to beating it. And so I started all the way over and decided to tackle Illusion of Gaia and beat this game very quickly, actually. No, not real quickly, but fairly quickly. And had a good time with it. It's a really good action RPG with really nice atmospheric kind of music and good mechanics. I love the action RPG thing, especially the 3 connected games, Illusion of Gaia, Soul Blazer, and Terra Enigma, not in that order. But yeah, Illusion of Gaia is really good. The story gets a little weird towards the end. There's some dark moments. Actually, Earthbound, same thing. Kind of dark moments. Really had a good time with Illusion of Gaia. February's was no chore at all. February getting through Illusion of Gaia was no biggie. No biggie at all. Okay, so the next one was March. And March, if you guys are a watcher of my channel, you may remember that is when I went on vacation to Mexico. I was in the middle of this game when I actually went to Mexico, and we took the Super Nintendo with us to my girlfriend's parents' house in Rosarito, and I played Secret of Evermore at night when everybody else was sleeping and kind of dozing. I, pop in Secret of Evermore, get through a couple hours, and we were there for quite a bit. So I actually went through quite a bit of this game there. But ended up beating it once I came back to Oregon. But yeah, Secret of Evermore, again, action RPG, great graphics and musical presentation. Just a very, very good game, very good game. If you like Secret of Mana, you're going to like Secret of Evermore. It's kind of, those two games are kind of cousins, and even though people tend to ignore this game, it's actually a very fun game. Now, this game started to become a chore a little bit later on and seemed like it was, I don't know, a lot of the mazes were a bitch. some of the mazes were really a bitch, and just, you know, a lot of enemy encounters, but a lot of fun. Really good game. I had a lot of fun with this game, don't get me wrong, but this is the first game where I was starting to be like, ugh, alright, getting this done in a month, especially on vacation, this is a tough one. I barely made that one in time. Okay, so, the next one is a really good game. Really, 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 really good game. Sweet Home for NES. If you guys don't know what this is, that's because this is not available in America. This is a reproduction cart of a Japanese RPG that was translated into English some time ago, and you can find copies of this reproduction cart. They generally go for about 30, 35 bucks, sometimes up to 50 depending on where you get it. But Sweet Home, very, very awesome RPG. It's a survival horror RPG. I've talked about this before on my channel, so I'm not going to go over the mechanics or anything like that. Plus, plenty of people have talked about this game. I highly recommend you check out the Happy Video Game Nerds review of Sweet Home. It is just incredible, and it's actually the reason I bought this game, so I will actually put a link to that in the description below. Sweet Home was actually, despite being a pain-in-the-ass game, a very daunting game, and something that took a bit of, like, I had to wind myself up and, like, get myself ready and pump myself up to play this game every time, because it was a tough game. This game didn't really have any cons, it was just a tough game. It's not even very long, just a fucking tough game. It's a really good experience, though, and you'll be surprised how dark this game comes across nowadays. For being a game on the NES, you could see why this didn't make it to America. And definitely, I'd say the two that I enjoyed the most, and even more than the two I'm even going to show, Sweet Home and Earthbound, definitely the two I enjoyed the most out of all these. I had no problem playing and beating these. This one took almost like a little bit of courage to freaking beat. It's a really intimidating game because of the mechanics. But yeah, I beat that in April, and yeah, very, very freaking awesome. So, May comes around, and I finally get Live-A-Live in the mail from GameReproductions.com, and I'm very stoked, I'm very happy. I'm like, what the shit, this card's heavy as fuck, and it's got this weird tacky label, but, you know, they did a pretty good job with it, and I popped it in, and if you know anything about Live-A-Live, it's got a chapter system, and you can start on these first 7 chapters wherever you want. I started with the Western chapter, which was, almost unfortunately, my favorite chapter. Because I started with the chapter that I thought was going to be the least favorite of mine because it was kind of Western influence. I'm not that into Western shit. Turned out to be one of my favorite chapters, so some of the other chapters seemed like a disappointment to me. And this is where I start getting into the cons of this little experiment with trying to beat one game every month. Live-A-Live was a daunting task, and I had no idea. Also, I started it halfway through the month because I was already working on another game. I don't even remember which one, but I was working on another RPG for that month, and then I ended up getting Live-A-Live in the mail and was so excited I had to put it in and try it, and I got absorbed into it, and I said, fuck it, I'm going to beat this game, and I basically had 2 weeks to beat it. And I did not realize how long these chapters were. That was the other thing about choosing the Western chapter. It's also one of the shortest, so I had this fake illusion in my head that all the chapters were going to be about the same length, and no, they are not. There were a couple really annoying chapters on this game, I am not going to lie. Now the thing is when you go into playing this game, don't take my word for it, because the thing is I was kind of stressing myself out with this. This is where I started to stress myself out with my own self-imposed time limit. I had until the end of the month, and I actually did not beat this game on time. I think I was 2 or 3 days late on it, and it was the only one that I was late on. I was so stressed about just trying to get this game done, and I was tackling some of these chapters that I just did not like because I was rushing through them. The first one that I ran across that I just did not like was the Psychic Kid. They call him a mecha. I'm not really sure why. Maybe that's a Japanese thing. Not really sure. But that chapter was annoying as shit. There are a ton of random encounters. The story made no fucking sense, and the chapter was overly long and convoluted for really no reason. In fact, I believe I still didn't do something fairly important in that chapter, yet still finished it. And it was just a bitch to get through that chapter, and then I started playing some others, and they were pretty decent too. I really like the sci-fi chapter. I don't want to just bag on this game completely. The Western chapter, the sci-fi chapter, the 8th chapter, which you unlock after you beat the first 7 chapter, that was a good one too. The last chapter was good too, but there were a couple. The ninja chapter. Fuck me, this chapter was like you could tackle it 3 ways. You could leave everybody the fuck alone and sneak around everywhere, and it's going to take you forever and a day to beat. Or you could kill everybody, and you get something special for doing that. You get something special for doing either of those 2 ways, or you just don't give a shit and just try to get through it like I did, and it was still a fucking bitch. I cannot imagine trying to go through it, not killing everybody, and or killing everybody. It is such a convoluted mess. The ninja chapter was too much, and I found myself wanting to give up on this game at that point. And then once I got to the last chapter, you have to find all your party members, and it just started wearing on me. All the random encounters, just constant random encounters, and me putting a time limit on myself. It really was when I started to realize that maybe this wasn't what I wanted to do. And so yeah, Live a Live being the 5th game for May, and it was just an experience. I wanted to talk about that one for a long time because that was the one that really changed the pro of this experiment to almost a con. There are some pros to this. But anyways, the last game, the one I just beat, kind of a cheat. You can tell I'm getting burnt out at this point. Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 reproduction cart, I got at the same time as Live a Live. Was very excited for this too. I started playing Parasite Eve in hopes of beating that game for June, but I wasn't going to make it. I had stressed myself out with Live a Live and ignored playing RPGs for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, and started playing Mega Man and, King of Dragons and Space Megaforce and just all these games that I love. And ended up beating like Castlevania 4, and then I ended up beating Strider 2. And yeah, I had a really good time not beating myself up about trying to beat an RPG on time. And so when it came down to like, am I going to beat a game this month? I'd like to at least get 6 done. At 6 out of 12 ain't bad. Do half of the experiment at least. And so I went about and beat Dragon Warrior 1 in 3 sessions. I kicked that game's ass. Really good at Dragon Warrior. But yeah, this is the Super Nintendo version, or Super Famicom version translated into English for the Super Nintendo, and I had a great time playing it, and it almost refreshed me a little bit. So I'm ready to tackle another RPG. Am I going to try to beat an RPG a month? I don't think so. I still have enough time this month for July to actually beat Parasite Eve. I might. If I do beat Parasite Eve, then I might think about trying to beat Secret of Mana the month after, because that's another game that's not too long that I need to beat. I've also been working on Final Fantasy V on Game Boy Advance quite a bit. Hiccups, excuse me. I always get hiccups when I'm filming. But yeah, the pros are, I knocked out some games that I have been meaning to knock out for a long time. Illusion of Gaia and Secret of Evermore I have had for since I was a teenager. And I finally beat them by a self-imposed time limit. I said, no, I'm going to beat these. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to defeat them. And I did, and I'm very happy. Earthbound, Sweet Home, a fucking pleasure to beat. So good. Live a Live, it kind of spoiled it a little bit for me because I just didn't have enough time to go through this game that was very, very involved. I didn't realize how involved it was. And Dragon Warrior 1 was kind of my cop-out, but I did beat an RPG for the month. And some people don't have the patience for Dragon Warrior 1, so I guess that's some kind of accomplishment. I don't mind grinding on Dragon Warrior 1 at all. But yeah, so this is my little experiment. And, I don't know what the future holds for these experiments. I have another experiment that I want to try, actually, another imposed experiment, but I don't know. I don't want to stress myself out. So I'll let you know if I do end up doing another experiment. But for now, this one is pretty much over. I think a 6-month experiment is a pretty good enough go at it. Plus, I was kind of running out of games that I could defeat in 1 month because some of these games that I want to defeat are fucking super long. So, yeah. We're not going to do that anymore. So let me know what you guys think of this. This is a really interesting one for me and a really interesting topic. I'm dying to know what you guys thought about this RPG experiments. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos by me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's down there, it's red, and it says subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I still love RPGs. I'm just kind of taking a break right now. Thank you so much for always viewing and putting up with my long-ass videos and me rambling about old-ass games that nobody cares about anymore. You guys fucking rock. Keep rocking the retro games.